Hey guys, Sierra Bailey here with Accel Commercial Real Estate. The video you're watching ties into our event in June, Accelerate. If you want to learn more about what you see today, scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description to get your tickets now before early bird pricing runs out. Enjoy the video.
So we are going to shift gears a little bit here on with our next speaker. So I want to introduce Quinn. We met Key way back when we were at KW Commercial back in those days, and we were had the pleasure of meeting him and building a good relationship with Key. One of the things we always kind of like to do is bring people in that maybe started out maybe in a W-2 type of a job or something, and then also kind of discovered real estate, and then, and then fast forward to, what they've done, right? So Key has a great success story. I think you two, because I think, so you worked for Snyder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he worked for Snyder 12 years. He just left Snyder. But anyway, enough of that story. But the point is that so Key has done a great job. He's kind of the go-to guy. So if you've heard of the term infill development, so you see sometimes these lots or two that kind of seem like, now hold it, they're in the middle of Green Hills and there's nothing built on these, that's the kind of stuff that Key finds and then, goes through and looks to see, hey, what can we build on this, right? The other thing is that if I ever have a question about codes, about planning, about zoning, anything to do with Nashville, he's the guy I call. I mean, he knows the ins and outs and who to contact and how to figure things out and how to do all the research and all of that. So he has built a very good life for himself. How many homes you got going in Green Hills right now?
Like a dozen.
Yeah, dozen. And how many in East Nashville?
Like 30.
Yeah,
That's a
so
lot.
right, so this is kind of what he's developed over the years. So with all of that, I'm gonna turn it over. We kind of asked him to kind of tell a little bit about, hey, I was an engineer at Snyder, and this is kind of what I did and how I moved into what he does today, but then also kind of tell you his experience of dealing with, codes and zonings and all of that kind of stuff on development.
His hero origin story.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate Brian Jan actually asking me to speak tonight too, because they're dear friends of mine, and we've just maintained a really good relationship over the few years. Yeah. So anything that they can do to help me or I can help them, that's what friends and business colleagues are all about. I don't really have. I mean, I know we can cover a lot of stuff in the next hour. And I'm just trying to get the most effective time for this meeting. So I think we talked about a couple of things. One is maybe just a little personal way of how I went from W-2 to being an entrepreneur. And then secondly, we can talk more about developments within Davidson County. And just to give you a little bit more background before I post a couple questions is that I started the company called the Payrolls Group. How many of you guys have heard of us? Not really, just Davidson County. Okay, yeah. So we're one of the thousands of people that are in the Davidson County developing and building and selling, Q cottages in East Nashville to moderns and Gulch and luxurious homes of what have you in Green Hills. But about 5 years ago, we started off with like just one house. So and the Payrolls Group has gone from doing one house. We probably have done, under contract, built, under construction, or selling probably 100 houses in the last 5 years. And most of it is probably in the last 2 to 3, because the first couple of years, it's just like any other entrepreneur. It's very slow and hard to get started, right? And that's everything about it, like back office, front office, investors, everything that you heard from the previous guy, I've dealt with too. And just a different magnitude. He does more syndications, apartments. I do more infill, single family residential homes. So the company has gone from, just me, myself, and I, and right now we have about 2 full-time bookkeepers, 1 accountant, 5 project managers, and 2 and a general manager, and we have an operations manager too. So, and we talk, and that's more details than probably what we can talk about today, but it went from a lot. It went from very little to 1 person, like just like you and I right now, to I feel like a medium-sized business at this point in time. But with that said, I did have a couple other questions to ask you guys. Is who here has done infills or has heard of infills? Heard.
Yeah.
Or understand what the definition of infills is. There's a couple. Okay. And then who here has done like rehabs or commercial projects? Somewhat. Okay. All right. So generally, like, we can talk from the very basics of, I think, of development and upbringings and things like that within the Perils group. So my background is engineering. So, and not that it's really like absolutely needed for what I'm doing today, because there's plenty of people that are not coming from a technical background that does this, and even does this in a way bigger capacity than what I do. But for me, I had 12 years experience in coming to Schneider Electric, and I did plant engineering to leadership to sales and marketing and things like that. But somewhere when I moved and I started it with Schneider, and I don't want to talk about the whole history, in 2008, but somewhere in 2009, 10, and 11, I started getting into what they call traditional investments, which is you buy a house, you rent it out, and you go buy another one, you go buy another one, and you kind of add, and it's a traditional W-2 method, right? So you go and buy something, you rent it out, it cash flows, then you go buy something else because your debt services goes away for your first house, so your W-2 income can go buy the next house, and then voila, over the course of your career and as a W-2 employee, you can accumulate quite a few properties, and depending on how aggressive you are, you can accumulate lots of properties, right? So, but it wasn't until probably 10 years ago, in 2011, when I got into the REN, which is a real estate investment network in Nashville, and they started getting me into single family homes, where I was traditionally focused on just buying a condo, renting it out, buying a condo, renting it out. But they really helped me to understand the value of single family homes, and that part of it got me into where I started flipping. Which means when I started, for me personally, I did what they call lipstick flipping. Have you guys ever heard of lipstick? Anybody? Lipstick, if nobody has heard of lipstick, some people haven't heard of lipstick. Lipstick is just paint, countertops, retouching floors, no moving walls, no destroying bathrooms, nothing crazy. You're in and out of there probably in about 60 days. So that's called a lipstick rehab, right? So it's all cosmetic. So we did a few of those things, and I'm not sure if there's a whole bunch of those opportunities available. Allison's like, no. No. So if you have one, do it. But they're harder and harder to come by.
Or send them to me, and I'll do it.
So we went from, in 2011, we went from like lipstick rehabs, and we did a few of those. We're like, oh, okay, so in 30 days or 60 days, or really like 30 to 60 days, and then closing in 90, in 3 months, you can make $20,000. That's pretty good, especially if you're a W-2 employee. And if you just kind of keep on going, and then you realize, and then what I realized is that once you actually get into more of the technical rehabs, which is like moving walls, doing different floor plans, you can create a lot of value to that specific structure to make it not just a $20,000 flip. You can do a $80,000 flip, but you have to understand the step-by-step methods of being able to understand to go from lipstick to what does that mean? Moving walls. Moving walls could be electrical, plumbing, flooring, like, and then there could be potentially be like framing and load issues, right? So that's a separate, different topic than lipstick rehabbing. So we did that for a few years, and then fast forward in probably 2000 into 2016, starting in 2017 is when I first started doing my first development, and I did it with my friend Rich, and we just did our first one. It's our personal house. We finished it in 16, 17, and then we started doing an investment property, just one in 2017, and then my wife basically told me to say, hey, I think you should do this full time, because it's either you do it now or you don't do it. And I don't know if you guys were here in 17, 18, 19, 20, but for all those years, everybody around like, when is it going? It's going to bubble. It's going to bubble. It's going to bubble. It's going to bubble. I think this is the first year that I haven't heard anybody tell me that it's going to bubble. Right? It's not bubbling, right? So I don't see it bubble. So we just have. You can say that we've probably got in, and I would say in my first year of Perils Group, we did one house. We started off with one house. We did great. But then I didn't make a lot of money my first year. Actually, I made probably half the salary that I made when I was a W-2 employee my first year. So it's not easy to get into this business thinking that you're just going to kill it from day one, right? It's all about your work ethics. I had to go and call on investors. I had to be in front of them. Luckily, I have had sales training. So within Schneider, so I basically have to keep calling them. We go to codes together multiple times, and by the end of that day in the conversation, I have my conversation with that investor is always, what do I need to do to earn your business and earn your trust? What do I need to do? What else are you concerned about? What else do I need to do to make sure that we can do a deal together, right? So you gotta write that order. Right. So, just like I don't care who you are and what you do, you got to write the order somehow, some way. And you got, and the more you can be clear about your expectations and be able to not just, and I really got lucky to be able to meet these great people that are around me. But I wasn't lucky to keep them, because I had to show my worth and they had to keep coming back. That's the part that's hard, is making sure that not only are you selling the orders, but you're able to execute and repeat that order. Because once you do, then that's where you grow your business. Is your wealth is your network, and if people know that you do well, you can show production and that you can show value, and that they trust you with lots of money, right? This is like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of money, then they're going to come back to you, because they know that if you're going to make it simple for them, that's what they want, and to the Ben's, I think a couple of points that he had. One was about treating, and I just caught the tail end of it, is treating and weeding out investors. I myself had about almost like 8 to 10 investors, and I've cut those down too, because I had to trim the fat too, because I realized that, it's like people say it's the 10-90-10 rule, which is a Jack Welch. I've heard of Jack Welch, but which is like you cut the fat and things like that. But in what I have realized in the investment industry, or most of what in the real estate business, is like pretty much less than 5% of your clients or people that you deal with are giving you 95% of your problems. And the more that you can cut those 5% of people down and decrease 95% of your problems, the more you can actually scale your business, no matter what it is. Now, I don't care if you're in my world or in commercial or whatever it is, but it's when you get started, you can't say no to anybody, but you have to say yes. But once you get to the point where you can actually understand and kind of pick and choose how you want to scale your business in the way that you do your things, then you can actually really focus on what you want to do. For me, it's there's a few things that I've realized in the development of in business in Davidson County that I've trimmed back. Obviously, it's just hit bad investors, or not, I wouldn't say bad investors, but maybe like
High maintenance.
high maintenance, high maintenance investors in general, and I'm not saying this in a very negative way, but I have a lot of investment owners that manage a lot of Airbnbs, and I'm kind of the same way. So he's like, Keith, I don't take on clients that wants my Airbnb income to be a part of paying their mortgage, because that's like, if you're vacant for a week, if you're down for a week, or if something happens, then they're going to get those phone calls, right? So, I mean, whereas there's nothing I can do about your mortgage. I mean, I'm just trying to do a good job for you. I'm sorry if this product is going to be delayed for a week because the block didn't get delivered, or there's tons of supply chain issues right now. But I don't want you to think that if I don't close in October, that you're going to miss your house payments. Like that's not for me, that's not the right business that I need to be in, or the right client I need to have, because that's not what I would choose this business to be in, right? We have to choose and pick. But when I first got started, I took on everybody. But it's like what Ben said. It's just, you got to kind of fine tune and be able to find what you believe in is in your business to be the most effective thing that you want to do. And the other thing we don't do, and I'm very transparent with all of my clients, even myself, is we don't pre-list anything. So when we take on a job, and I say 3 to 4 years ago, and I love these people, I love the people. 4 years ago, I took on 4 houses under contract before footers got started. And it killed me for that entire year, because on Sundays, I have paragraphs after paragraphs after paragraphs of just clients wanting to know, okay, so why is this outlet not the same elevation as that outlet over there, right? I need that one to be moved up or down. And then it's like, it's not just moving it up and down. It's like, I have to coordinate the electricians. I have to know how much I have to move up or how much I have to move down. So, so it's weeks and weeks of delay. And I love the clients. The clients are really good people, but it's about setting expectations, and the expectations are very difficult to communicate, because it's like, you can't just set expectations on every single thing. So you're going to have to kind of pick and choose. So what I decided to do in the last about 3 years ago is say, like, basically told all my clients, all the investors, that we don't pre-list anything. So we just, when you're done, the only option you have is there's a greenhouse and there's a White House. Which one do you want? That's the option that you get, not change out lighting or blah, 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 blah. So I have learned over the years to streamline the business in terms of the buyers and the investors to be able to execute as and scale as the best that I can in this crazy world right now, right? So that's the short, maybe the long, but short story of developing this business from infancy, and from a W-2 type of work to where I am now.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like what you see, be sure to follow our Generational Wealth Learning series. On select Thursdays, we offer cutting-edge industry information that would normally cost thousands of dollars. And the best part, our education is absolutely free. If you register through our events page, you can join us live, either in person or over Zoom. In the meantime, like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a beat.